Good afternoon and thanks for joining us on Nationwide. We are live here in Abuja. I'm Hawa Salihu Adama. We start with the judiciary today. The Supreme Court has sacked the Bayelsa State Governor-elect, David Leon, and ordered INEC to withdraw his certificate of return. The five-man panel of justices led by Justice Mary Odili also ordered INEC to issue certificate of return to the candidate that scored the second highest votes cast in the governorship election. In a unanimous judgment read by Justice Ejembi Eko, the court held that the APC candidates' running mates supplied false information in INEC's biodata farm. Now, Senam Bamigboye is joining us live from Yenagoa, the Bayelsa State capital, to tell us how the news of the Supreme Court judgment was received. Hello, Senam.
Hello, Hawa. Good afternoon.
Okay, thank you very much, Senam. I'm just wondering, how are the people reacting to the news in Yenagoa? Did it change the ambience in any way, considering the fact that I understand swearing in is slated for tomorrow, Friday?
Okay, yes. Bayelsans received the news with mixed feelings. The news of the Supreme Court judgment with mixed feelings, because in Bayelsa State we seem to have the two parties at par, the APC and the PDP. Earlier in the day, we had a lot of movement activities, getting to a height towards the inauguration slated for tomorrow. The APC flags were everywhere in the state capital, and particularly along the streets lining up to the Siasia Sports Complex, where the inauguration usually holds. But as at this afternoon, when the news filtered into the city, there have been, different ambience. The flags are no longer there. Among the APC, those aligned with the APC, there seems to be some kind of stoic calm. The people are actually going about their businesses, while in the those aligned with the PDP seem to be in heightened spirits. The government house, which had been a little quiet earlier, we are having people trooping into the government house, some with drums, some with uniforms, dancing as expected, when there's a turn in the tide. But generally, everywhere is calm. The police are on ground. Just about 2 hours ago, the police went about with a show of force, moving around to ensure that everything remains as it should be. So but the governor of the state, Siraki Dixon, is expected to have a press briefing at about 6 p.m. today. So from there, we'll be able to know what his feelings are right now. But there's calm.
Thank you very much, Senam, for your update. But I'm just wondering too, what is your guess on projections in the coming days?
Well, the people had actually been expecting a change from one government to the other, that is from one party to the other, to bring changes that they have been expecting, because it appeared that in certain sectors, like this, among the civil servants, they had been expecting more regular salaries and all of that. But right now, since there's still a new government coming into place, so I believe whether it's PDP or APC, the expectations may still be holding. Before now, people were, expecting that the APC government might come with some changes from what they had been expecting. But now it's still a new government, so I believe that we will still be expecting something new that will add value to their lives.
Okay, thank you very much, Senam. That will be all for now. We will definitely get back to you for more updates. Still staying with the judiciary, the publisher of Sahara Reporters, Omoyele Sowore and Olaiya Bakari, have been rearranged before a federal high court in Abuja on an amended 2-count charge bordering on treasonable felony. The two defendants pleaded not guilty to the charge filed by the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation.
At the resumed trial, the prosecution counsel, Ali Lukayode, informed the court that the federal government has complied with the court's orders over the payment of the 200,000 naira awarded the defendant as cost. He also said the prosecution is ready to proceed with the trial, but the defense counsel, Abdul Mahmood, objected on the grounds that the prosecution has served them only the summary of the witnesses' statements and insisted on being served with the full statements, even though the prosecution maintained it was a full text that was served. The defense counsel also insisted that since Shore's statement is on video, the transcript is not enough. He said the video will equally be needed to enable them prepare their defense. Justice Ijoma Ojukwu adjourned the case to 11th, 12th, and 13th of March for definite trial.
Advocacy for community radio as a tool for development as well as fostering peace and unity is the focus of this year's World Radio Day. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday in this report takes a look at the impact and relevance of radio to societal development.
I got Abuja's very own anti-world.
Information is said to be power, and radio is one of the media of information dissemination. 38-year-old Emmanuel Ogbodo is an interior decorator. He does not miss the news on the top of the hour and follows scheduled programs. He told me it is a motivational tool for his business.
When you're not listening to the radio, you are like a blind man. But when you listen to the radio, we know what is happening. It makes my work go faster. I feel happy.
It's now 3 minutes for top of the hour.
Depth of penetration of radio gives it an edge over other media, an advantage the United Nations wants operators and governments at all levels to take advantage of.
As we strive to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals and tackle the climate crisis, radio has a key role to play as a source of information and inspiration alike.
Especially the content.
Nathan Williams, an editor and reporter, says his station focuses more on developmental programs.
So we give them the voice so that they speak out and let the government know what they need. Dr.
Mansour Liman, Director General, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN, says even in today's world of digital communication, radio still reaches more people than any other platform.
It is the most accessible thing that you can put on. Within seconds, you start listening to what is happening. And
Dr. Liman believes that the Nigerian government must invest more in radio infrastructure to enable it to reach all parts of the country.
Technology has moved so fast that the kind of shortwave transmitters that are being produced now are very different from the ones that we used to have in the 60s. So there is the need to make sure that we procure new ones.
Another advantage of radio is that it is an interactive platform where people can air their views, concerns, and grievances. I hope you now see the idea of listening to news and other programs on the radio. Happy World Radio Day. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday, NTA News.
Very well, Adebola. And still talking about the World Radio Day, let's get you to listen to radio and television as we briefly join the network news studio of Radio Nigeria, where the network news at 4 is ongoing with Yahya Umar.
They were coming in a while ago. Hello?
Okay.
Today is World Radio Day, and we're expecting a mother or two from your end. Go ahead.
Okay, could you give us a sense of what it means in today's Nigeria to be a radio journalist and presenter?
Radio journalist and presenter. Now, first of all, one needs to have the determination and commitment to serve. And not forgetting that one also should be a patriot. Patriotism plays a major role in Nigerian broadcasting. But Training and retraining makes you sharpen. These are attributes that we're talking about. Intoning your voice, pronouncing names correctly. Retraining, commitment to the job, and dedication to what you're doing to helps you to be a very good radio journalist. Dedication to what you're doing to helps you to be a very good radio journalist. And not forgetting too that you need to get out the real truth, the hidden truth, by doing investigative journalism. It helps to do.
Okay, Yahaya, you talked about patriotism, and how do you gauge reactions on some of your content tailored to address current national issues?
Reactions come www.radioNigeria.gov.ng. We're hooked up to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and whatever. By way of interaction, radio, where we have a radio phone-in program, and listeners are allowed to call in and send in mails via our email platform. We're able to gauge their points. The political atmosphere is charged. We can get the news by us and all that, and we also engage on the standby, telephone, and other aspects of the communication to get the reaction from the ground. And because it's radio, we go to every nook and cranny, every nook and cranny of National, all nooks and crannies of Nigeria. We go there and find out the news because radio gets everywhere in the world. Wherever you are, in the hole, out of the hole, in the distance, from afar, from there, radio can see wherever you are. Yes.
Thank you very much, Yahaya. And the news now continues here on television. While still on this subject, Abdullahi Muhammad in Kaduna gives us some historical perspective to this special means of communication.
1962 was a turning point as far as a radio broadcast is concerned in northern Nigeria, and it all started in this house known as Faringida Kapin Sadona, which means the White House, the establishment of the then Premier of northern Nigeria, Sir Ahmadu Bello. And since then, a lot has changed in the way productions and broadcasts of radio programs are carried out here.
Who else could give us a vivid account of how radio production was than a voice that has left an indelible mark over the radio in northern Nigeria?
Everything was being done manually. Like, for example, if you talk about production, you go out, get your materials from, in a UHA. That is one big recording machine like that we put across our shoulders. After getting the materials, we come back here, go to the studio, we produce tapes.
The radio space today has gone digital. Production and transmission has been simplified by technology.
Kwalejin kimiyya ta ƙasa ta buƙaci gwamnatin tarayya ta ƙaddamar da cutar zazzabin lasa a matsayin lamari da za a ba shi kula na musamman.
Radio itself has evolved from the monotonous transistor to a multifunctional and more appealing gadgets which have kept it relevant. Devices like mobile phones and other information dissemination sources could be contesting for space in the ears of listeners of radio. But people like Abubakar and Sunday say only sleep keeps them away from their radio.
I'm working with radio 24 hours. Sometimes if I'm in the toilet, I use with radio.
I thereafter took a trip to the countryside and found out that the radio is revered there. Despite having a smartphone where a radio broadcast is a touch away, Tukur goes to places with his radio. And guess what? He may be kilometers away from where the favorite radio stations broadcast their programs, but he appears to be a continuity announcer of sort. The keen interest in radio shown by the generation after Tukur is an indication that the radio has come to stay. No wonder the world stands still today to honor the radio for standing the test of time and living the life of a king of information. In Kaduna, Abdullahi Muhammad, NTA News.
Sure, Abdullahi. And let's now join Tokwe Alabi in Oshogbo for more on the Radio Day.
Oshogbo is also known with the popularity of radio, and our fathers here also listen to radio virtually every day. To Chief Popola Bolanewa, an 83-year-old man, listening to radio has become his companion.
My morning begins with listening to radio in my bedroom, and I wake up and listen to OSBC news about Nigeria.
Radio has done so much that it is a means of advocacy.
However, radio, no doubt, has remained a powerful means of mass communication. Even with the advent of the social media, I can authoritatively tell you that every GSM phone has a radio inbuilt.
Thanks, Tokwe. Radio will definitely continue to be relevant. Well, maybe on more modern platforms. Now, Obiora Ilo and Chisom Kamse are here with me in the studio to talk more on the World Radio Day. You're welcome, Obiora.
Thank you so much.
Okay. And Chisom, hello, can you hear me? Okay. Obiora, in retaining its relevance, how has radio practically established itself as a champion for peaceful coexistence in Nigeria?
Well, I must say that the mobility of radio, which was threatened when we had television, and people feared it was going to be further threatened by the internet, by the mobility of the internet gadgets like telephones and all that, is still as relevant as it was before. Radio, because of its reach, because of its ease of reach compared with maybe television, is still very relevant today. And especially with the development in science, where the mobile devices, which almost everyone carries now, also comes with the radio input in it. It has also strengthened the reach of the radio. I was actually surprised a few days ago. I was at the ATM and I saw a guy who came with a radio set, the old shortwave radio set.
Okay.
And I was surprised because everyone is trying to do it
on the phone.
On the phone. So you see that attachment is still there. And because of its wide reach, it has continued to be a tool for national cohesion, unity, development, just name it. Because you still find that when people go on campaigns, whether it's political campaign, whether it's a marketing campaign, whether it's to sell a product, they do TV, they do cable, they do satellite, but when they want to reach the ordinary people, the device they go for, the medium they go for, is radios.
Okay, before we talk about reaching the ordinary people, let's join Kamse. Kamse, I'm just wondering, the radio has evolved and we have it on the web and internet platforms. How would you say this has helped in actively capturing various views and freedom of expression?
Well, I think it's been very, very amazing how accessible it has been right now. You don't need to go and buy a radio set these days. You have it on your phone. So right now, anybody can easily, whatever part of the world they are, they can join a particular radio program in any state, in any part of the world to air their views and talk about how they feel about a particular issue. So it has brought people more together, making people like not miss out on anything. So whether there's an issue going on right now in Nigeria or is going on in whatever part of the world, and then you want to listen to it, you want to be part of it, you want to say how you feel, like you want your voice to be heard, it's just at the tip of your fingers. And that's how amazing it has come.
Okay, could you talk to us on content development in programming and how they are often fashioned to speak to national and contemporary issues?
Programming is very important. Content development is very important, and every radio station has to, like, how do I put this? like you said, content development for national importance. Because of the reach of radio, everything that should be put out there for content should be very, what's the word? It should be very, like, it should be put in a way that would not hit up the polity. That's the point I'm trying to make.
All right, let me go back to Obiora here with me in the studio. Obiora, you talked about the radio getting to the grassroots, and I have this feeling that how are community radio stations doing in this regard, getting the mandates to the people?
Well, good idea, community radio. But you know, with this reach we are talking about, where you can reach anyone, anywhere. That's very special advantage of the community radio is a little, whittled down. But community radio is also beautiful because it deals with the specific needs of the audience that it covers, their culture, their way of life, their commerce, their immediate problems, their language, and what have you. But I think that what is important on a day like this is for those of us that are media practitioners, that are radio journalists and practitioners, to understand how effective the radio is to reach the ordinary people. For those in government, for those in business, to understand the effectiveness of radio, and in turn use it appropriately. If we are producing programs, when we are targeting audiences, we know that we have a very strong tool, and that what we need to do in the studio or wherever we come up with these programs is to make sure that these programs serve the purpose for national development, for national unity, because that is what every ordinary person in Nigeria or in any other country is so used to.
That's true, Obiora, whether it's on conventional or on the internet platforms.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Obiora, for coming to our studios. I'm just wondering, do you listen to the radio on your telephone, or you actually have a radio set?
I listen on my telephone, I listen on my satellite devices, I listen to radio in my car, almost everywhere.
Thank you very much.
Very mobility indeed.
Okay, and Chizom Kamse, we really appreciate your being on Nationwide today. Moving on, it's Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. More reports when we return. Do stay. Thanks for rejoining us. It's Nationwide. To the legislature now, the Senate has described the recent attack on Annu community in Borno State, where 30 persons were killed by gunmen, as despicable. This followed a motion of urgent public importance which called on the Senate to condemn the attack, urged the federal government to begin the process of rehabilitation of the affected community, as it called on the military authority to establish a base in Annu so as to intensify its security operations, especially effectively, and to immediately carry out an investigation on the circumstances surrounding the killings. The motion also urged the federal government, through the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, and the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management to provide relief materials to the families of those affected. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, however, reminded his colleagues that the consultations between the Senate and the executive arm of government with regard to security challenges in the country will be fruitful. The Senate passed 6 bills through first reading. These include the bill that seeks to prohibit discrimination between first degrees and highest national diplomas. And still staying with the National Assembly, the House of Representatives has urged the federal government to review the privatization of the power sector, as the performance of discourse has fallen short of expectation. House members, in their contributions during the debate on the matter put forth by Representative Nolim Naji, expressed disappointment that in spite of federal government's effort at improving power generation, the distribution companies have shown lack of capacity in transmission. The lawmakers also adopted a motion from Bello Yakubu urging the National Universities Commission to publish the names of identified fake professors in some Nigerian universities. In the meantime, 2 House members, Kingsley Chima and Pascal Dozier from Imo State, have defected from the Action Alliance to the All Progressives Congress. Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila announced their decision at the plenary this Thursday. Let's now join Chineye in Enugu to give us the outcome of the security summit attended by the Inspector General of Police. Good afternoon to you, Chineye.
Good afternoon, Hawa. Thank you and welcome to Enugu. The Southeast governors have put their seal on the establishment of community policing and the geopolitical zone. Mina Adobi Okobase reports that this was at the Southeast Geopolitical Zone Summit held in Enugu State with the theme, Strategic Partnership for Effective Community Policing in Southeast Zone.
In attendance were the Inspector General of Police, the 5 governors of the Southeast. Host Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi thanked the Inspector General of Police, saying that Enugu and other states in the zone will soon enjoy serene ambience of which they were known for before now.
We're also on the threshold of deploying our automated drone surveillance solution to give the needed impetus to our security surveillance.
Keynote speaker Professor Felix Asogwa extolled the heightened security situation in Nigeria and the Southeast Zone in particular, advocating a more robust security architecture while giving credence to the fact that community policing will improve public confidence in the police. The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, lauded the confidence reposed in him by the zone and solicited the support of key stakeholders in partnering with the police for the success of community policing.
In order to aid effective implementation, the following process are to be in place. 1. We shall establish community policing committees at local communities and at the state levels.
Others that lent their voices in the security discourse includes Chairman Ohaneze Ndibo Nnianwodo, Archbishop Emmanuel Chukwuma, Chairman Enugu State Council of Traditional Rulers and Deputy Governor Imo State. A communique was issued which highlighted the modus operandi of the Community Policing Committee when constituted. In Enugu, Mina Adobi Okobase, NTA News.
And that is it from Enugu. Hawa is back to you in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Very well, Chineye. And we are not done with Enugu, as Enugu is still in the news. This time, we hear that about 130 inmates of the Correctional Center in Enugu successfully clinched 5 credits and above in the recently released result of the 2019 NECO examinations, including English and mathematics. The Nigerian Correctional Service acknowledges that recent efforts to transform former prison cells into classrooms are paying off, with more inmates from other states excelling academically as well. James Oparai-Kocha is standing by at the Correctional Center in Old Park, Enugu. He reaches us from one of the classrooms where we have some of the successful inmates.
With over 200 degree holders graduating from this center through the National Open University. I have with me here the controller, Nigerian Correctional Center, Enugu Command, Mr. Emelwe Joseph.
This educational center is a very important tool in our efforts to turn the people around.
We have one of them is a lady who in fact has written 2 novels.
In this life, the only thing that can give you what you want is education.
But we have somebody who is was on the death row actually, just until last year when he was moved from death row to a lifer.
To God be the glory. I saw this opportunity of enhancing and advancing in academics, and I grabbed it with 2 hands.
Because outside, I have the zeal to further my education. So I have seen that to be in a a sentenced man does not mean that I have lost hope.
The name Correctional is actually beginning to make that impact for which the name was changed from prison to Correctional. Because as you can see, they have suddenly realized that this place is not actually the end of the world.
And to take the issue further is Ogechi Ogo, the Deputy Director, Prisons Rehabilitation, Welfare Action. Welcome to our studios, Ogechi.
Thank you. Good evening, Nigerians.
Okay. Could you describe some of the recent academic fates by inmates as a manifestation of some of the reforms embarked upon by the correctional service?
Yes, the education feat that the inmates have achieved for quite some time now is part of the reform that had happened in the past, by the Nigerian Correctional Service, the former prison service, picking on good, international practices in the, across the globe and utilizing that to service the service generally. But right now we have in our laws provisions for that, to boost the issue of provision of education opportunities to inmates. Section 14 of the Nigerian Correctional Service Act 2019 provides that the correctional service should provide opportunities for inmates to access education, and goes down to subsection 5 to say that any inmate that has gotten educated within the facility should equally be given with the recommendation of the Controller General, should be given a certificate of good behavior. Okay. And this certificate, when you go down to subsection 6 again, should serve as a platform to help such ex-inmates not to be discriminated against. So what we should be looking at now is how to utilize the benefits of this new provision. Okay. Now, what does education do for us within the facilities of the Nigerian Correctional Service? If education at whatever level, whether formal or informal, opportunities are given to the inmates, it seems we are now thinking of the future, because there is a thin line between the custodial center and the society itself.
Is there any plan to make this a long-term thing?
It has always been there. It has been there. It's already a long-term thing. Opportunities are given to inmates. Some of them register with Open University. They are taught within the facility itself, the custodial center. Now, what purpose does this serve? It serves the purpose that we are now seeing the custodial centers as part of us, because there's a thin line. The people that enter the custodial center are coming from the communities.
So they will go back as better citizens. Thank you very much, Ogechi Ogo, Deputy Director of Prisons Rehabilitation and Welfare. We appreciate you being here.
All right.
Moving on, beneficiaries of free eye surgeries and services are commending the Cross River State Governor for reaching out to the less privileged in the rural areas. This was at Akampa local government area, where the Commissioner for Health, Dr. Betta Edu, flagged off 1,000 free eye surgeries to be undertaken in the 18 local government areas of the state. Paul Abel completes the report.
The human eye plays significant roles in the body, and everything to keep it healthy and functional can be desirable. But some persons, due to environmental factors among others, are passing through hard times because of the poor condition of their eyes. Hence, the Eye Camps project by the Cross River State government would not have come at a better time than now, providing opportunities on treatment of the eyes and how to prevent eye ailments.
I take them and say, thank you. I don't have anything to give God. I just tell and say, thank you. God will help them.
Some of us, we don't have money to even feed our children ourselves for 3 square meals that we should have money to go and purchase the class.
For the Cross River State government and partners, the motivation is to ensure that the people are happy and comfortable as it extends the message of humanity down to the rural dwellers while making Cross River State a hub of medical tourism in eye care services.
The idea is to set up these camps, reach them where they live in their own communities, and indeed offer them that eye care which they truly deserve.
All our people that need treatment for eyes, they will not go blind for treatable or preventable causes of blindness.
We will ask God in His infinite mercy to continue in the services He's rendering to the people.
The eye camps are also expected to be replicated in schools across the state to reach children. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NGA News.
Today is the 44th anniversary of the assassination of Nigeria's former military head of state, General Murtala Muhammad. He was assassinated on February the 13th, 1976 on his way to work during an abortive coup. He was born on November 8th, 1938 and died on February 13th, 1976. He was the head of the federal military government of Nigeria from 1975 until his assassination in 1976. As head of state, Muhammad put in place plans to build a new federal capital territory in Abuja to decongest Lagos. He created 7 more states in February 1976, bringing the total number of states in Nigeria to 19. The name Victor Olaiya is synonymous with winning and conquering a mother's blessing, a symbol of African creativity and beauty with a unique blend of high life genre mashed with blues and the trumpet. That's Victor Olaiya. Here is a special tribute from Ekemini Williams.
This is a song originally written and sung by a trumpeter who ruled the airwaves in the 1950s and 60s. A man who has tasted the waters as far as music is concerned, both home and abroad. Dr. Victor Abimbola Olaiya, legendary high-life musician. Respected and admired by many. Oh, little do these independence performers know that barely days after this show, Victor Olaiya, high life maestro, will pass on. According to the managing director of Evergreen Music Company, Bimbo Esho, the high life icon, who was a member of the Evergreen Music label, died at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital. And although the music industry has been thrown into mourning by Dr. Olaiya's death, his memory remains evergreen in the minds of many. May his soul rest in peace.
Meanwhile, Victor Olaiya also prominently featured on NTA's Stars of the Tube and High Life Heritage, among other programs directed by a very important Austin Eruka, who is now joining me live in the studio. Good afternoon and welcome to Nationwide.
Thank you very much.
Okay. You worked with him in a professional capacity. Yes. Can you tell us what he was like as an artist?
He was, that kind of a musician. Mm-hmm. I think it runs in his blood, sort of, not every musician has that kind of sense of looking at things as a musician, When he plays his music, you can see that it comes from deep down the heart, Victor Olaiya, it was somebody that when we invite him to NTA for any show, he's not interested in the money. He's interested in the performance. The first time we got into the studio was when we did the series High Life Heritage. We used Edio Konta as the tour guide. So through Edio Conta's story, it linked us to Bobby Benson, Victor Olaiya, and all that. So we didn't call it an Edio Conta show, we call it High Life Heritage. But we use Edio Conta as a tour guide to, tell the story of
your working relationship. What did you take away from working with him?
It is the particular day we were recording his own beat. I told him, you see that camera over there? That's your camera. When you're going to take your trumpet solo, even if you are, with the white handkerchief that he uses, at all times you see the white handkerchief when he's blowing his trumpet. I said, give me that move to your camera, and that will give me the kind of shot I want. And because, you see, when you direct musicals, those people at home, you must take them into the venue where it's happening. And you got to know how to do that, or else people will be lost at home, they won't care.
Thank you very much, Mr. Austin Aruka. I'm sure we'll never have enough time to talk about this.
Oh, we have a lot to
very
talk about.
Important man. Moving on, we hear that sympathizers are trooping into the late singer's residence. So let's now join Ruth in Lagos for more on Victor Olaiya.
Thank you, Hawa, and welcome to Lagos. Sympathizers have been trooping into the Surulere residence of late High Life maestro Sir Victor Olaiya to condole with his family. Family members and friends who spoke with Khadijat Akombi described him as an icon whose legacy will forever remain green.
Sir Victor Abimbola Olaiya, one of the legends of high life music in Nigeria, who is also recognized internationally, passed away on Wednesday at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital at the age of 89. At his Surulere residence in Lagos, sympathizers were seen condoling with his family members. For his family members and friends of the family who spoke with NTA News, late Sir Victor Olaiya, who backed the Nigerian National Honor of the Officer of the Order of Niger and other awards for his outstanding contribution to the music industry and humanity, his legacies will forever remain green in the minds of many.
I feel sad, but I'm happy because this is a celebration of life.
If someone has lived his life very well and has achieved almost everything, and he's left a strong legacy such as this for people to invite and follow through, I honestly think it's a celebration of life.
His music stands for life. In life, in death, you would keep on with his music.
He brought many good things to this area. We always hold meeting together. If there's anything, they either run to him or they come to me.
For a man whose music career spanned over 60 years, late Sir Victor Olaiya's legacies will not be forgotten for a long time. In Lagos, Khadijat Akombi, NTA News.
The chairman, Senate Committee on Works, Senator Adamu Aliru, says the Senate will continue to play its role to ensure that all ongoing road projects in Lagos State and other parts of the country are completed. He gave the assurance when he led other members of the committee on a courtesy visit to the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, in his office. Nosa Osula reports.
The federal government had in September 2017 began massive rehabilitation works on some major roads in Lagos State. The chairman of the committee explained that they were in the state to inspect the rehabilitation, reconstruction and expansion works on Lagos-Ibadan Dual Carriageway, Lagos-Badagry Expressway, Apapa-Tinkan Wharf Road, Ikorodu-Shagamu Expressway, and many more ongoing federal road projects in the state.
We can no longer rely on budget to continue funding infrastructure. We must find alternative ways of building roads, railway and power. And perhaps this is why it's important to go into public-private partnership.
In his response, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu commended the Senate committee for the visit and assured them of the continuous support of the state government.
Federal government has built the Eko Bridge, they built Kata Bridge, they've been magnanimous, they've also built the third Mena Bridge for us. But we are taking our destiny to our hand. We've advertised on the PPP model to do a fourth Mena Bridge. And interestingly, it's supposed to be like a ring road. It's supposed to be a 37-kilometer bridge and superhighway and road and bridge construction.
The committee is in Lagos State to carry out its oversight functions on federal road infrastructure in the state. In Lagos, Nosa Osula, NTA News.
Pirated and low-quality textbooks worth 20 million naira have been seized at the Tinkan Island port in Lagos. Abolade Salami reports that the seizure was carried out by officials of Nigeria Copyright Commission, NCC, and Nigeria Customs Service, Tinkan Island Port Command.
If the seized textbooks had ended up in bookstores or markets in Nigeria, many would have likely mistaken them for original copies. The reality, however, is they are all pirated. From new concept English textbooks for junior and senior secondary schools, 3rd and 4th edition, Macmillan Champion Primary Mathematics, to the early beginners Bible story books. Before the arrest and seizure, the suspect had claimed that the container was loaded with Bibles.
On the custom part, it's a contravention of the relevant Custom and Exercise Management Act, actually section 161, which is on true declaration. If the man had declared Bibles, it is expected that what we will see inside this container would have been Bibles.
Director General, Nigerian Copyright Commission, who was represented by Director of Public Affairs, says the Commission will not compromise standards and adherence to quality.
We are here to show that it will not be condoned and to send a clear signal to the barons of piracy in this country, both those who are importing and those who are producing locally, that this heinous crime will no longer be tolerated.
To make it look beautiful, they even do more of these color combinations. You understand me now? Whereas the original producers of some of this work will not do a whole lot of color combinations.
The agency says the suspect, after due investigation, will be prosecuted. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
That report ends our contribution from Lagos. More reports from Hawa in Abuja after this break. Stay tuned.
Thanks for rejoining us, and Abubakar in our Maiduguri Network Center is next on our lineup. Abubakar, you're on.
It's good to see you, Hawa, and thanks for joining us in Maiduguri. The Nigerian military, in collaboration with Borno State government, has approved the commencement of fish marketing from Gamboru, Ngala to Maiduguri, with a call on the marketers not to indulge in any act capable of empowering Boko Haram insurgents. This was brought to the fore when the state governor, Babagana Umar Zulum, theater commander, Operation Lafia Dole, and other military high command in the theater, along with fish marketers as well as members of the road transport workers, held an interactive meeting in Mafa town. Mohammed Goni reports.
Just as Baga town in Kuka local government, Gamborungala Agri has been known for fish businesses responsible for supply of fish to most part of the state and beyond. When the Boko Haram insurgents delved into the fish business, the Nigerian military halted the business along the road with its attendant effect on the economy of the affected areas. Both the state government and the military high command agreed to revitalize the fishing business to revamp the economic sector and empower the people. We strongly warn against undermining the national security in support of the service.
This government, people of Borno State, and indeed in Nigeria, all of us will fight to see the end of this conspiracy in Borno State. If we see any of the fishing community agree, work with, sympathize, give information, attack together, either innocent Nigerians or the military, the fishing will stop.
Both Governor Babagana Umara and the theater commander Operation Lafia Dole assured that if the plan designed by the governor is strictly followed, the fish business will thrive, stressing that taxes are only paid to the state government. Secretary of the Fish Sellers Association in the state, Hassan Mustafa Babayerwa, appreciated the state government and the military for allowing them to return to business.
As part of effort to ensure repentant Boko Haram terrorists that have been reintegrated into the larger society are faring well, Commander Operation Safe Corridor, Major General Bamidele Shafa, has embarked on assessment tour to Borno. Memuna Garba reports.
The assessment visit was on the instruction of the Chief of Army Staff to know how well the repentant terrorists that have been reunited with their families are doing, whether they are fully accepted in the communities, and look at areas Operation Safe Corridor can contribute to well-being of the people for life to return back to normal. The assessment visit will take the commander to Goza, Jambua, as he had visited Bama and Maiduguri to interface with repentant terrorists.
Ban yi tsammani zan zauna cikin jama'a su karbe ni hannu biyu ba, amma da aka kawo ni kowa ya yi farin ciki. Su yi hakuri da irin abin da muka aikata da muka ce addini ne muka shiga kuma suka yaudare mu da kuma muka gane muka fita.
Some community leaders who expressed satisfaction with their behavior said there is need to assist them start up something for a living so that they will not go back to their former lives. Similarly, those at the Bulunkutu Rehabilitation Center in Maiduguri have assured to continue to be good citizens of the country. Commander Operation Safe Corridor, Major General Bamidele Shafa, urged them to utilize the opportunity the President has given them and continue to live in peace.
From what we have seen here today, from the testimonies of the boys, the testimonies of the community leaders, the traditional leaders, the religious leaders, we can see that the boys have been fully accepted into this community, and that is the message we want to pass to the boys that are still in the bush.
The commander further called on Boko Haram terrorists to lay down their arms and embrace peace. In Maiduguri, Memuna Garba, NTA News.
That's a contribution from Maiduguri. Let's now return to Hawa in Abuja. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Sure, Abubakar, and the contribution from Maiduguri wraps Nationwide this Thursday. We thank you for being part of it. Good evening.